Guys, today we're going to do a quick video. We're going to talk about the 5 things that I think need to be changed in terms of balance. There are 5 things in balance that I think can be changed relatively quickly, and they would definitely make the game feel a bit more fun to play across both competitive and solo queue. So if you like it, let me know. If you have any extra suggestions, or you think things that are unfair or need to be buffed or nerfed, let me know in the comments. What do you think needs to be buffed and nerfed in Wildrift right now? Do you agree with my list? And if not, what do you think should be done about it? Thanks to GTWay for sponsoring the channel. Reference link in the description below. The winners from the June giveaway are also down below. The video you can see sped up at the end. And also, if you want to win one of the 10 skins that I'm giving away in July, you can do that also in the comments. You just need to leave a comment and sub to the channel. I'll see you soon. Okay, my first gripe, my first balance change that I really wish would get changed is this particular little guy here, Ziggs. I think Ziggs needs to have, I'm going to bring it up right now, this ability here, Satchel Charge, demolishes turrets below 20% HP. That needs to be removed. The reason I think it needs to be removed is that although thematically it fits Ziggs, Ziggs is a guy who loves explosives, blowing up buildings, and the only buildings in Wildrift that you can blow up and into the PC League are the towers. But in PC League, it makes a little bit more sense. Towers are much harder to take, and you have to invest much more time to be able to kill them. I think in Wildrift, you really do need to, I think, take into account how quickly towers actually go down. I think towers are way too easy to kill in Wildrift, and Ziggs just makes them that much easier. And I think his passive is enough. I think they should rebuff his passive. I think they should put the buff back on his passive, and I think in general it's enough to allow him to be able to deal more damage to towers, or remove his passive damage to towers and just allow him to have the Satchel Charge, which I still think is ridiculously OP. That's the first thing that I think needs to get changed. The reason I think it just needs to get changed, it will just add a little bit more variety to pro play. I mean, he's got very high priority in pro play. And also, I just think, like, because of how easy it is to snowball games with Ziggs, when he shouldn't be like a snowballing carry. Like, he's primarily supposed to be like a later game scaling sort of artillery mage, like just fires a lot of damage away, you know, from quite a significant distance away. But he's just so easily able to snowball and get a huge amount of gold lead for his team, because that particular ability I don't think fits Wildrift. I think it fits PC League, because with the plate system in PC League, they are much harder to take until 14 minutes into the game. After 4 minutes in this game, towers are like paper. They just die. I think the damage on towers is fine. I actually think for the game, the HP on towers are fine, but Ziggs just makes that HP feel really stupid. And so I think that, you know, that passive on his Satchel Charge probably shouldn't exist, and they should maybe just rebuff his passive to be able to do more damage to towers. So I think Ziggs, to me, is the one thing that I really don't like in this game, in terms of just one particular balance change that I think will be healthier for both competitive, and I actually think it'll be healthier for solo queue overall, because I don't think Ziggs deserves to be this powerful because of just how easy towers are to take, and he makes them like that. Like they already go down pretty quickly to people like Camille and Fiora, etc. But Ziggs just like boom takes them down in 2 seconds. So I just and like, if you leave Ziggs alone in a lane, like if you roam as a mid laner and you just let Ziggs push one wave, sometimes he can take tower off one wave, and I don't think that's right. So yeah, that's the one balance change with Ziggs that I would love to see. I don't think Ziggs should have the kind of tower taking potential that he's got. Another big thing that I don't like about the game right now, yes, I'm using the same game to illustrate this, and you're also seeing how Ziggs is taking towers ridiculously quickly. Like, he just took that tower in a second. Obviously had the Baron minions to work with, but the second thing that I don't like in this game is Baron minions, and just how powerful they are. I think it should be a gaming ending objective, and I do think quite clearly we need to have something in Wildrift that allows you to end games before the 20-minute mark, because 20 minutes is too long for a mobile game, I think. But Baron minions, goodness gracious, they are obnoxiously strong. They are so difficult to kill, and they deal so much damage to towers. I'm not a big fan of the way the Baron minions work in this game, and you can feel free to flame me for it, but it's just not something that I really like. I just think it shouldn't be this easy with Baron. Like, at least make them easier to kill. I think if you have like good wave clear, like, I'm just gonna go back over to Ziggs, because watch, he's gonna take this tower in like 2 seconds. Watch this, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was his passive right there, by the way. And dead. Tower gone. I think if you have wave clear in your team, you should be able to do more to deal with Baron minions. I don't think they take enough damage. I think they are way too strong and way too difficult to clear. And it just gives the team that gets Baron a complete inherent advantage, especially when you have a team that's, you know, got quick tower taking potential, like Ziggs. And Ziggs and Baron is a disgusting combo, by the way. It's just really dumb. So yeah, I don't really like Baron minions in this game. I think they're a little bit too strong. I'd like to see their maybe HP nerfed. I don't think the damage is a bad thing, but maybe the resistances or whatever it is that you get from the Baron minions, I think that should be toned down a little bit because it just feels a little too obnoxious to actually clear Baron minions, which is a major issue of mine. I think, you know, Baron minions feel just a little bit too strong overall right now, and that doesn't feel too great to play against when you're on the losing end of Baron, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, Baron minions, definitely something that I'd like to see looked at on the balance side of things. My next gripe is with Fizz. Something that I don't like about Fizz is just how short his ultimate cooldown is and just how far you can throw that bloody fish. He just used his ultimate to kill me in the lane. That was maybe around, I don't know, like 40 seconds ago, and it's almost up. It's like on a minute cooldown at level 9, which is ridiculous. You can use the ridiculously impactful ultimate every minute, and it has such an obnoxious range. When they nerfed Fizz on the last patch, I actually think they nerfed the wrong thing. Obviously, he can still be played jungle. You're seeing it here, and he's having a relatively good game. But I think really the damage was the main thing, or at least the cooldown on his ultimate. Even in mid lane, I think the cooldown on his ultimate is relatively obnoxious. But I just think in general, look how far you could, like, that hit the Ashe, like, is that not just absolutely ridiculous how far you can throw that ultimate? I know he didn't end up getting the kill, and, you know, at the end of the day, we managed to sort of just about win the fight. But isn't that cooldown, isn't that ultimate just like an absolutely ridiculous range? Like, how unbelievably dumb is that ulti range? Now, that's just something else that I'd like to see fixed. I think Fizz's ulti cooldown and ulti range is just really, really long, and I think it's a little too long and a little too low cooldown. I think they need to give him the Evelyn treatment and nerf the cooldown on his ultimate, and potentially also just reduce the range ever so slightly, and that might make him feel a little bit more fun to play against, because right now it doesn't feel very fun to play against him. There's a real problem in this game where people like Zed and Fizz have really low cooldown ultimates, and Stasis is on quite a high cooldown, so you can only ever really block 1 in 2 ultimates that they use towards the late game, and that can be really impactful in terms of game deciding fights. But yeah, Fizz ultimate cooldown and the range at which you can fire that ultimate feels really stupid, and I do think that's one thing that I'd like to see nerfed and changed on this next patch. The next thing that I want to see changed is, I'm going to speed this up ever so slightly. Keep going, actually, because we're not going to. The next thing that I want to see changed is Fiora's lunge range. She's not supposed to be good, this good in the laning phase. I mean, I just screwed up really hard there. We just ignore how badly I played that early trade. Fiora's lunge range is really obnoxious, and that's what makes her ridiculous to play against. She can lunge from miles away, and I just die. I'm still really bad against playing against Fiora, by the way. Her lunge range is really long, and that, she's not good in PC. Like, she has so many bad matchups in PC because her lunge range is nowhere near as obnoxious. So Fiora with Grasp of the Undying is really, really dumb because she just constantly pokes at you from a distance, and constantly procs Grasp of the Undying, which is really insane. I really want to see Fiora's lunge range kind of cut down a little bit. She's been queen of the top lane for far too long, and I don't think it's her damage, I don't think it's her ultimate, I think it's just how easily she can proc Grasp of the Undying with her lunge, and the range on her lunge, and how easy it is for her to proc Vitals with almost no repercussions. And maybe, just maybe, increase the cooldown on her riposte, which is her second ability that blocks damage and blocks CC. Maybe, just maybe, increase the cooldown on riposte. But overall, I think that, she does deserve some nerfs, and the lunge range and the ease at which she can proc Grasp of the Undying is really important. And so that would be my my wants for Fiora. Just lunge range dropped, and the ability to grasp the Undying so ridiculously easy without being able to, like, we're doing it for free basically, without anybody punishing you for it. That would be really nice, because screw Fiora, honestly. She's been queen in the top lane for far too long. She definitely deserves some nerfs. And speaking of nerfs, Grasp of the Undying does feel a little too good in the Baron lane. It is like the best melee to melee trading rune, and I know it's the same in PC League, but it feels a little too easy to proc for some champions right now in the current meta, like Fiora being one of them, Garen being another one. Like, it just feels a little too easy to make Grasp of the Undying work. I think there should be some thought into Grasp of the Undying about how to make this focused a little bit more towards tanks. I know, as you can see here, like, it definitely works in your max health, but it feels way too good in the early game. Like, it feels really impactful in the early game, almost too impactful in the early game. Maybe there should be an increase on level in terms of the amount you heal and the amount of damage you deal, because it just feels a little too impactful. And also, that's, you know, another thing in general. I would like to just see more rune choices. I think we're very limited right now. For most, like, the most used rune in the game has got to be Conqueror. Then I imagine Summon Area and Electrocute, and then sometimes Grasp of the Undying. I think those four must be the most common used runes in the game. And then Aftershock and Font of Life. And I think Phase Rush and Fleet Footwork are probably relatively underused. But it just feels like Grasp of the Undying is a little too good in the early game, and I think that needs to be turned down, because you shouldn't be able to win a lane purely off a single rune. And that's a gripe that I have right now with that particular rune. It just feels like a must-have in melee to melee matchups in the top lane, and doesn't really give you much breadth. And some champions just make way too good use of this. Garen, Fiora, Gragas. You can even play it on Renekton, but there are a lot of champions that are good because Grasp of the Undying is good. That's definitely one of the reasons that Fiora is good. If Grasp of the Undying was not as good, Fiora wouldn't be as good in the early laning phase. This is the rune that makes Fiora annoying. Don't get me wrong, her lunge range is another issue, and, you know, even with Conqueror it is a problem, but this is a rune that makes it more obnoxious because it's so easy to constantly proc it, and it's so difficult to trade against because she just has riposte. So she just goes in, uses this, uses riposte, and walks away. Or, you know, she often doesn't even need to use riposte, can just walk away, because the range at which her lunge hits a vital is so large. It's not that she dashes too far, it's that she, beyond that dash, can proc the vital way too far, and she can hit a target beyond the dash range way too far. So that's what I think needs to be looked at. I think maybe I gave the wrong impression about what I meant by lunge range. I just meant that she can proc and hit people with lunge way too far. I think the distance that she travels is probably fine. It's the fact that she can stab a whole bloody another range beyond that distance to actually get the proc of the vital or the basic attack, and that's what makes this rune like nigh on untradeable with her, because she deals a crap ton of damage every 4 seconds, which is ridiculous. There you go. Maybe it should be up to 5 seconds, or I don't know, but 4 seconds feels ridiculous to play against versus some champions in the laning phase. What do you think needs to be changed? I've asked that question at the start, but I'm going to ask it again. Let me know in the comments down below. And after this, you'll see a quick video speed run of the giveaways, which you'll find in the pinned comment down below. Okay, so there was 19 videos in June, which is not a lot of videos. I thought I was going to do more. I've got a huge ponytail going on, by the way. 19 videos in June, so the random number generator is between 1 and 19. Takes us between this one and this one. So that's all the videos that I published in June. Got our random comment picker here. So let's random number generate 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 12. This one.